Take a look at the dog sleeping at the foot of your bed. That animal is the result of thousands of years of biological engineering. But have you ever wondered why we do not have pet grizzly bears or zebras? It is not because our ancestors did not try to tame them. Our ancestors were desperate to turn every creature into a tool or a companion. In the ancient world, having an animal ally was the difference between life and death. This is the story of the animals that made the cut and the ones that stayed wild. We are going to explore the 6 strict rules of the domestication pipeline. Imagine standing in a prehistoric field 10,000 years ago. You are not looking at a gentle cow grazing in the sun. Instead, you are facing a 6-foot-tall wall of muscle known as the aurochs. These were the wild ancestors of all modern cattle. They were massive, aggressive, and carried horns the size of human torsos. Today, scientists are actually trying to bring these giants back. It is called the Tauros Project. Researchers are using a process called backbreeding to recreate the aurochs. They are selecting the most primitive cattle breeds to match the DNA of the extinct beasts. They want to rewild Europe with the very monsters our ancestors once feared. But why did we domesticate the aurochs while leaving other giants alone? To understand this, we have to look at the specific biology of friendship. Domestication is not just about being nice to an animal. It is a fundamental shift in the creature's DNA and behavior. According to evolutionary biology, there are 6 golden rules for any animal to join our team. If a species breaks even one of these rules, the domestication process fails. The first rule is a fast growth rate. You simply cannot wait 15 years for an animal to reach its full size. This is exactly why we never fully domesticated the elephant. While humans have used them for work, we do not breed them like we do dogs. An elephant takes over a decade to reach maturity. By the time a baby elephant is ready to work, the human who caught it might be too old to use it. It's much more efficient to breed animals that mature in a year or two. This allows humans to see the results of selective breeding within a single lifetime. If you want a tamer cow, you need to check its temperament quickly. Speed is the essence of the domestication pipeline. The second rule is the lack of a panic response. This is where animals like the gazelle or the antelope fail. These animals have evolved a flight-or-die instinct that is incredibly sensitive. In the wild, this keeps them alive against cheetahs and lions, but in a fenced enclosure, this instinct is a death sentence. When a gazelle gets startled, it does not just run away. It panics and hits the fence at full speed. They often kill themselves by breaking their own necks against the barriers we build. You cannot farm an animal that is essentially a living bundle of nerves. Rule number 3 is the ability to breed in captivity. Some animals are very picky about where they have their children. Cheetahs, for example, require an elaborate courtship ritual that involves running over long distances. They will not perform this ritual in a small pen or a cage. If an animal refuses to breed while humans are watching, the domestication line ends there. We can't refine a species without controlling its reproduction. This is why many of the most striking animals remain wild to this day. They value their privacy over our food. The fourth rule is a manageable disposition. Some animals are simply too mean to be friends. Think about the zebra versus the horse. They look similar, but their personalities are worlds apart. Zebras have evolved alongside lions and hyenas for millions of years. Zebras have a nasty habit of biting and never letting go. They're also much harder to lasso than a wild horse. Our ancestors tried to ride them, but the animals were too aggressive and unpredictable. A horse might kick you, but a zebra wants to end you. Rule 5 involves the diet of the animal. It is much cheaper to domesticate herbivores that eat grass. If you have to feed an animal meat just to get meat back, you are losing energy. This is why we have herds of sheep, but not herds of lions. Carnivores are just too expensive to maintain as a food source. Finally, Rule 6 is the social hierarchy. Animals that follow a leader are much easier to control. Humans simply step in and become the alpha of the pack. Dogs and cows already have this instinct built into their brains. They are looking for someone to tell them where to go and what to do. But what happens when an animal seems to domesticate itself? For years, the silver fox experiment in Russia was the gold standard for this theory. Scientist Dmitry Belyaev bred foxes based only on how tame they were. In just a few generations, they looked like dogs with floppy ears and curly tails. However, a major update in 2020 challenged this classic narrative. It turns out the foxes Belyaev used were not 100% wild. They originated from Canadian fur farms where they'd already undergone selection for their fur quality. This suggests that becoming a companion might be a priming event. This means domestication might start long before the first fence is built. We are seeing this happen right now in our modern cities. A landmark 2020 study from the University of Glasgow looked at urban foxes in London and Glasgow. These city foxes are naturally changing right before our eyes. They are developing shorter snouts and smaller brain cases. The males and females are also starting to look more alike. This is known as self-domestication. By simply living near us and eating our scraps, they are losing their wild edge. No scientists or fences were required for this transformation. Elephants are another fascinating example of this self-driven change. A 2023 paper argued that elephants have domesticated themselves over thousands of years. They have evolved to be highly social and have lower levels of aggression. They even have complex cortisol regulation to keep their stress in check. This explains why elephants seem so human-like in their empathy. They did not need us to teach them how to be gentle. They chose that path themselves to survive in their own complex societies. It is a reminder that we are not the only ones who value peace and cooperation. But there is a new wall we are hitting in the world of domestication. It is the wall of ethics. Take the octopus, for example. They are incredibly intelligent and can solve complex puzzles. People have considered farming them for food on a massive scale. But the world is changing its mind. In March 2024, Washington State became the first to ban octopus farming. There is a growing movement to stop the domestication of animals that are too smart. The U.S. Federal Octopus Act was even introduced to ban the practice nationwide. We might be the first generation to decide that intelligence earns a species the right to stay wild. We're moving away from viewing creatures as just tools or food. This shift in empathy marks a new phase in our history, showing that we're domesticating our own instincts for dominance. There is also the mystery of the second wolf. For a long time, we thought all dogs came from one group of wolves, but DNA analysis from 2022 suggests a different story. It looks like modern dogs have ancestors from two separate ancient wolf populations. One group was in Asia, and the other was in the Near East. This means the miracle of the dog happened twice in different parts of the world. It shows how much we needed that partnership to survive. And the cycle might be starting all over again in the most unlikely places. In the Chernobyl exclusion zone, wolves are evolving in a post-human world. These Chernobyl wolves have different immune systems and seem less afraid of humans. They are living in a landscape we abandoned, yet they are adapting to our footprint. Some scientists believe they could be the start of a new wild-to-friend loop. Even after we are gone, our impact on animal evolution continues. Think about the neural crest cells in these animals. These are special stem cells that control the fight or flight response. When we breed for tameness, we are actually changing these cells. This is why tame animals often get white patches of fur or floppy ears. It is a physical map of their journey from the wild to our homes. It is a phenomenon called domestication syndrome. It links the adrenaline glands to the shape of the face and the color of the coat. When an animal stops being afraid, its whole body begins to transform. This is why a pig looks so different from a wild boar. Their bodies have relaxed into a life of safety. Some animals stay with us but never quite work for us. These are called commensals. Like the common crow, crows live in our cities and use our tools, but they pay no rent. They are like the roommates of the animal kingdom. They are smart enough to exploit our world without ever losing their independence. As we look to the future, we have to ask who the next friend will be. Will it be the urban fox or perhaps a creature we haven't even considered? The rules of the pipeline are still there, but our hearts are changing. We are no longer just looking for tools. We are looking for equals. Our journey with animals has defined who we are as a species. From facing the giant aurochs to protecting the intelligent octopus, our role is shifting. We started as predators, became masters, and are now becoming guardians. The story of the next friend is still being written in the DNA of the world around us. Every time you see a squirrel in the park or a bird in the garden, remember the pipeline. They are all on their own path of evolution. Some will stay wild, and some will move closer to our fire. The bond between humans and animals is the oldest story on Earth, and it is a story that is far from over.